Hello everyone and welcome to the iSpring Solutions webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today as we're going to speak about how to create video-based microlearning with iSpring. My name is Paulina, I'm a community manager, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. As a speaker, we have invited Mark Simon. Hi Mark, how are you doing?
Hi, Paulina. Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Mark is a principal training consultant at Highmark Solutions, and he will be more than happy to cover this topic for you today. Mark has already presented for some of our webinars, and these webinars attendees just loved it. So I hope that you guys will enjoy this session. I am super excited for it. And as always, I just want to remind that at the end of this webinar, we're going to have a Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to submit them in the question box, which should be on the right side of your GoToWebinar panel. At this point, I think we are ready to begin. So Mark, let me please pass the mic over to you with the presenter rights.
Sounds great. Thank you, Paulina.
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. How do I do this without? Give me 1 second.
No problem. All right.
Okay, so you should be seeing a screen right now that says short and sweet on it, has the title with my name on the right-hand side. And you should also see about 2 minutes on this slide in particular. Is everybody seeing the slide okay? If there's anybody that doesn't see the slide, please feel free to use the chat. And in fact, use the chat throughout. I'm not very good at webinars because I like to talk to people and have my sessions be interactive. So right now, because nobody can actually get in on the microphone other than Paulina, I have the chat message window up. And so if you do have a question or a problem, please let me know.
It looks like
Okay.
people can see the screen and can hear you. Okay, Mark.
Sounds great. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at microlearning. It's a very popular topic. I recently did a series of them for one of the clients that I have here in the Boston area. So I wanted to share some of the experiences that I had working with iSpring Suite and producing this kind of video. Very, very easy to do. And also, of course, with microlearning, because we're doing short lessons, it doesn't take nearly as much time as it does to do that 30-minute or 1 hour or 40-minute full-blown e-learning lesson. So I'll try to share as many of my experiences with you as I can, and feel free to also pipe in with questions. I'll throw one thing out on the title slide. You may notice on the title slide that I have approximately 2 minutes. That will not be the timing of my presentation this afternoon or this morning or this evening, wherever you are. But rather, it's a good idea to have on your title slide, even if it's microlearning, just to tell somebody, okay, this lesson should only take you 5 minutes. This lesson should only take you 10 minutes, or whatever your micro lesson is. Always a good idea right on the title slide to have that little piece of information. Okay, so first we want to talk about why we're doing microlearning. This, of course, is becoming more and more popular in our area. As an instructional designer, I'm requested to do more and more microlearning lessons in the workplace, and maybe this is at least one reason. So for the percentage of job knowledge that workers are now storing in your brain, in 1986, prior to the internet, and just after the proliferation maybe of computers in the workplace, you had about 75% of job knowledge that you stored in your brain, meaning I went to a training class, I had to memorize it, I had to remember it, and now I know how to do my routine on my job. Okay, by 1997, that lowered drastically to about 15 to 20% as people got more and more dependent on the internet as a part of their job to look things up. Our intranets became much more sophisticated. And we were able to basically find information quickly, in a lot of cases not so quickly, on our intranet or through the internet or through other resources. And so we didn't need to store as much in our brain. And of course, that trend is now continuing, where we're storing less and less in the brain, and we're just trying to find a quick answer as we go. And I think everybody that uses the internet will agree that we're kind of in that mode of finding information very quickly through the internet. And so more and more, we're just looking for a little micro learning lesson that we can access quickly. Now, we had one question that was raised earlier, and Pauline, I don't know if you want to show that question or if you want me just to try to paraphrase it.
Sure, I can show it really quickly.
Sure.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, can you see it? Or not yet, I guess.
I can see the
All right.
title page for the webinar.
There it is.
Ah, yes. So the question basically comes down to, after saying how we are making shorter videos and so on and so forth, the question is, well, if you can create a video with a table of contents, what's the difference? Why are we doing a 5-minute micro lesson and, let's say 20 of them instead of just doing a 1 hour with a table of contents in the beginning? Okay, it's a very valid question. The first thing I throw out is that the longer and longer the lesson, first of all, the harder it is, I think, to get the throughput. So if you're using heavy video, heavy audio, you're doing a lot of multimedia elements, you're kind of jamming up your network. And I think we've all been on a pretty heavy duty website. Maybe we're accessing it by the phone while we're outside, and you just can't possibly get to all that website's information because it's just got so much multimedia in it. That might be option number one. Option number two is just trying to get quickly to information, okay? And if you think about it, if you're trying to access a lesson through the table of contents, think about the number of clicks it's going to take to access it, okay? Let's assume that you've got it on an area where you can access it in the same way, and it's not on an LMS, which is a whole nother thing where you have to go through the LMS login to get there. But if you have to click on a button to get to the table of contents of the lesson, the 1 hour lesson, then you're taking that click and then you're reading through a table of contents and trying to find the information. I think the better way to do this is actually to build a portal somewhere where you can basically scan through a lot of different information, and when you click on that click, you're not getting a table of contents. You're basically going through a portal, and you're basically eliminating a click, at least, in terms of getting to the information quickly. So, still feasible. The tools nowadays will allow you to create those longer lessons if there's a necessity for continuation, and it really is not something that lends itself well to micro learning. By all means, the traditional lessons can be built, but again, there's a place and time for micro learning, and again, for quick information, the key word there is quick, and I think it's a little quicker to get there if you don't have that table of contents that you have to peruse through to get there.
Mm-hmm. And the TOC is table of contents. There were a couple of questions. What does TOC mean?
Great. Yes, table of contents, that's probably an American term that basically describes that the list of the titles in a given lesson or document. Right.
Okay. So I will give the presenter rights back to you.
That's great. Okay. And by the way, this is not a PowerPoint slideshow. We're going to actually do this, and I'm going to show you a bunch of tricks, and I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to work through this. We had a discussion that it would be good to have a little preliminary discussion about what micro learning is and why we're doing it, and it came down to one slide for me. So that's the end of my slides on micro learning. So here's the meat of it, or here's the start of getting to the meat of it. So here's my complex micro learning lesson. And I built 15 of these, a bunch of these for my most recent client. I have literally a title slide that was done in PowerPoint. I had a screen recording, which could be done in any number of different tools. And then I had an end slide. Okay, That's about as easy as it gets. So you can certainly do more, but on the surface of it, this is what I'm going to try to show you. Now, I'm going to be using iSpring Screen Recorder, but I'm outputting MP4, which is a video format. So really, this lesson can be done with any video that you have. If it's really a video, I think that's a technical term, isn't it? Meaning it's a television or movie video. I'm not sure exactly what to call it, but it's not a screen recording. You can still do this exact same routine. Basically, at the end, after you basically built the content, the core content, you're going to wind up with basically your PowerPoint slides and basically publishing it over to a video-based micro-learning lesson, and you have a number of different options for what to do with it at that point. So I'm going to come back to this slide because I have a less simple micro-learning. You know what? I'll get this out of the way at this point. Let me plant the seed on this one. Because the reality of the situation for me with my client now was that when I had the screen recording, I didn't do the screen recording myself. I was given it by my friend Mike, and Mike might be a sloppy SME who doesn't necessarily have a really great microphone, who may not do a really great job with the screen recording. And so, you know what, you have additional challenges potentially to clean up a little bit with the screen recording. Okay, so just to plant this seed, what you can do with that screen recording, of course, you're going to have an MP4 video still, no matter what sort of tool you're using, and then you're going to try to separate that out with the Windows, basically by pulling out the audio file. In our case, the audio was really the problem. There was a lot of background ambient noise or hissing, and so it had to be cleaned up a little bit. So what I used for that, and I'll do a little demonstration of this, is Windows Movie Maker, just to load up the MP4, and you have the ability with Movie Maker just to save as audio file and save as audio only. And then basically you can go into the iSpring audio editor or other tools to basically load this WMA file, which is, I believe, Windows Multimedia Audio. I think that's what it stands for. Now, for those that use Audacity, let me see a show of hands. How many people here use Audacity? Oh, yeah, I can't see you. So many people use Audacity. Okay, Audacity does not import WMA. Guess what? iSpring does, just FYI, which is another reason why I really, really like iSpring. It just seems like every step of the way that I take with iSpring, oh, they will import WMA. So you would have to take an additional step. So what I had to do was convert it over to WAV file or MP3. And the tool that I chose for that was iTunes. And believe it or not, iTunes takes WMA files and it will convert it over to WAV. And then I took that WAV file and then I did the cleanup in Audacity. So this is the more complex one. Again, I'll walk you through it. It's not terribly complex. But let's start simple. Okay, so here's what I want to do next. Let me go in and I'm going to open up my file.
So there's a quick question. Audacity, yes. No plugin for WMA in Audacity?
I don't know. I looked. I will say that I couldn't find any WMA plugin, or I can't remember what they call it even. They don't call it a plugin because way back when they would only take MP3 and then to do WAV required another additional module or plugin, but I couldn't find it. So if you know of one, please let me know. So I have my email address at the end. So any sort of little follow-ons, you're certainly welcome to write to me, or whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to quickly mention that this session is being recorded, so you guys will receive the recording of this webinar after it in the email, or it will also be available in our new webinar section on our website.
Excellent. That's great. I had actually a friend of mine ask me about that last night as well. So glad to hear that it is being recorded. Okay. So I switched over to basically the same slide deck, except I took out the middle part. You can see over here on the side, I have 3 slides. Again, a title slide, an end slide, and in the middle right now I have nothing. So I can change this layout if I want to something that's just either blank or you know, something a little bit less intrusive. Title only. It really doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into iSpring 8, iSpring Suite, technically, and I'm going to go into their screen recording tool. And today's lesson is I'm going to teach you how to set up a meeting inside of Microsoft Outlook. So when you're doing the screen recording, of course, you can record anything that you want, but I'm going to start off by clicking on the screen recording tool. And once I do that, it's going to ask me whether I want to do a new recording or find an existing one, because I can, of course, edit. You have all the different options up here for tutorials and help and the community information and things like that from iSpring. But I'm going to click on new recording. And when I do this, I get this little box, okay? Now, the box is basically the frame that I'm going to want to record inside, all right? And now at this point, I need to go over to my application, and I can either minimize PowerPoint, or I can now press Alt-Tab to jump over to my Outlook calendar. One quick note on this box, you know, I can make it longer, I can make it shorter, but iSpring's smart enough to know what the size of my PowerPoint is, whether it's 16 by 9 or 3 by 4. So right now it's giving me a box and the aspect ratio is 3 by 4. So if I grab these corners, no problem, it'll maintain that same aspect ratio, which means it's basically going to be easy to fit on the slide when I'm done. I can still certainly resize it. And I recommend coming up with a size that's as small as reasonable, just so that when you get your product done, that you're not, if you go full screen with this and you have really tiny fonts and things like that, I know a lot of people work in very different ways in terms of their screen resolution. You're just challenging your learners to be able to see the content, okay? So think real carefully about what size you want to make this for your output and the aspect ratio. And the other thing to keep in mind, if you go in and click on the restore button, oftentimes this is really your friend. So if you, my client right now has a Salesforce.com customized environment, and the fonts are really, really small. But when you go into this mid-size view and don't maximize your window, the application resizes very well, and the output or screen captures winds up being much better. So I'm going to say that I don't want this top part in my world, I guess, or my video that I'm going to record. I'm going to reposition this as well as much as I want. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm about ready to click on the record button, which is right down here on the bottom. Very, very simple step. However, before I record, this is like an FYI thing, I'm going to click on the little settings area here. One important thing to take note of is what key I'm going to press to stop recording. And of course, I can change that key, but you will want to know that the escape key is the way to get out of the recording once you've got it started. You also will be able to stop it in other ways. But this is going to allow you to change your shortcuts if you want. You can change your microphone settings and things like that. Oh, record system sounds. This is also real important. Sorry, this is taking so long and it's so easy. One quick great thing here. If I'm recording somebody's webinar, like right now, potentially, or let's say I have a meeting with somebody and I want to record the meeting, because you can record a meeting with this. You know, if you've got somebody doing a WebEx, you can basically record their WebEx, but take off your microphone. And now all you're going to hear is that other person doing the presentation, because it's going to record system sounds, but it won't record your audio. So your dog can be barking, the doorbell can ring, the telephone can ring, But when you're doing this recording, it's not going to record you. In my case, I do want it to record my voice, so I'm going to keep that on. But this record system sounds down here is actually a great, great thing for recording meetings and things from other people. Okay, so I'm going to click on OK there, and now I'm ready to start my recording. Okay, again, very, very simple. Click on the Start Record button. I have a little 3, 2, 1 going, and then you're basically in record mode. Okay, now I'm getting really nervous here because I'm being recorded twice, I guess. And so what I'm going to do is go through some sort of routine where I right-click. I'll select New Appointment, and this is going to be called Testing 1, 2, 3. Very creative here with the different settings. I'll change my meeting to 9:30 instead of 9. Whatever you want to do, you can do in here. Now, very importantly, this window came up just about precisely inside the box. This never ever happens, okay? So when you're going through this recording, if your box comes in like this, which is more typical, take a moment to make it the correct size, reposition it however you want, okay? And don't worry that, oh, I'm in record mode, because I'm going to show you how to snip that out in the middle of your lesson. Okay, if I can figure out what time. It was about a minute into the recording. Okay, so who remembers the keyboard key to press to stop all of this nonsense? That's correct. It's the escape key, or notice down here I've got the pause button or the done button, okay? But I'm going to press escape. And now I've got my little micro lesson almost started. I have the meat of the micro lesson started, okay? Now, this takes us out to the iSpring Cam editor window that allows us basically to do a couple of things. First, I can just click on Save and Return and go right over to my PowerPoint or right back to my PowerPoint. But in this case, I'm going to save it as a video. I can also upload to YouTube. I can also upload to iSpring Cloud. I can go into the edit. I'm going to come back to the edit a little bit later. Or if I really botched it, click on New Recording and start again. It's a real easy way to say, okay, you know what? Oh, geez, I need a do-over. Just click on New Recording and you'll start all over. Now, I'm going to save this as video. And let's see. I have to go to my webinar, and I'll call this one The Real Deal. Should I put a date on here? 08, oh, I can't do that. 09 August. How's that? Perfect. Okay, so now, just in case I need it, I've got that MP4. And while we're doing this, I'm going to show you a couple of tricks for inserting the MP4 and how you will work with that within PowerPoint and working within the iSpring editor. And again, in case you want to snip out some pieces or do a lot of different things with the audio, etc. And this will also give me an opportunity to load this MP4 into Movie Maker as well, and I'll make sure that you kind of get a preview of what happens there. Okay, so that's all done. Saved it into a folder, and now I just need to click on Save and Return, and I'm here. Okay, now it came in a little bit smaller. I'm going to grab one of the corners. I'm going to make it full size. I like full size. I don't like screen recordings that don't have full size. So I've got my full size piece here, and now I'm going to select all three of these things and do a preview. By the way, this preview is actually a great thing where you basically can preview all the slides or just selected slides. So if I just wanted to see the title slide in this, I could do that. But now, again, it's that simple. If you don't want to do a whole lot outside of this, then you're pretty well set. So I'm going to wait for this recording to basically preview itself for us. I'm going to throw one other thing out. When I had my SME do it, one of the other reasons that I pulled out the audio was when he started the recording, he basically said, hey, welcome to this little micro lesson on so and so, so and forth. And I didn't want that audio to be on slide number 2. I wanted that audio to be on slide number 1. So by pulling out the audio from the MP4, I was able to basically take that audio and just take a little snippet for slide 1 and then go from there. And then you're going to see the script. If you have a narration script, you're going to see it right there. You'll be able to scroll down through it as you do the recording. And when you're done recording, in this case, we have a little 3, 2, 1 going, and then you're basically in record mode. Okay. Now I'm getting really nervous here because I'm being recorded. Okay, so this is now, I don't know if you can hear my audio. It's actually very annoying, but I'm not going to mute it because I'm afraid I'll mute myself. But you can say that this is basically all you have to do to create that recording. So it's basically going to run through all of those routines that I did before. Very creative here with the different. And if I want to speed up, this is the area that I'm going to snip out a little bit later. I'm in record mode because I'm going to show you how to snip it out or the done button. Okay. All right, so let's get done. Let's finish out. That was preview mode. So you can see right now at this point, if you want to go out to lunch early, let me cut to the chase. You're done. You just did the recording. You built your title slide. You love your title slide. You don't have audio on your title slide yet. Okay, but we're going to do that a little bit later. But you can publish right now. So the nice part is I can publish out to video now. MP4 is a lovely thing. It runs on everything. Okay, so certainly for a mini lesson like this, it's only going to be a couple of minutes or 5 minutes. An MP4 is certainly a great idea. So I could just go ahead and publish the video. It will output an MP4. iSpring actually does a really nice job of packaging up the MP4 format. Notice that there's a lot of other options here as well. If you haven't discovered iSpring Cloud, this is another nice idea because basically iSpring Cloud will allow you to basically publish it to a server that they maintain, and I can put a combination of HTML5 and Flash or HTML5, which is going to run on every device under the sun. Okay, it's very similar to MP4. So another nice option for you with iSpring Cloud, you can, once you get this published to iSpring Cloud, you get a URL that then can be sent to anybody that you want. Certainly that's an option for you inside of iSpring. And so now I've got basically the start to finish. Okay, I did the screen recording. I have my 2 slides in the middle, but now let's start to play with this a little bit. Okay, the first thing is the only mistake that we make, let's imagine for now, is the fact that we had a little hiccup in the middle. It could have been literally a hiccup that we want to take out. Okay, so all I have to do some editing of this screen recording is just click on the screen recording tool again, icon again, I guess it is. And now I'm in the video editor for iSpring. And notice there's this edit button over here that I told you I was going to come back to. I can also still save as video, upload to YouTube, upload to iSpring. But I'm going to click on the little editor here. And notice on this timeline here, I've got a bunch of different snapshots. I can play this to basically see how things are going. And then I can pause it, stop it, so on and so forth. And more than anything, what I can do as well is I can snip out front ends and back ends of things. So what I could do within here is take this and I could say, okay, you know what? I only want to keep this part. So let me go ahead and play this where it's, let's see, where did I actually start that? Probably around 50 seconds. This, which is more difficult. Take a moment to make it the correct size, reposition it however you want, okay? Okay, so we're not after precision here, right? So all I would have to do, just to keep the front end of this, is select this part, and basically all of that in the end is going to go away, all right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim, basically, and now I've just got the 55 seconds within here. And now what I could do is save and close it, all right? But I'm going to do a little bit of trick. You know why? Because the second part of this, okay, all of a sudden went away. So all I wanted to do was trim out this middle part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of here without saving it, or I can actually undo, which is just as good. And what I'm going to do now, save and return, is I'm going to come in here, and because I have to snip out the front end for one part and then the back end for the other part, I'm going to do just a little trick. I'm going to press Control D, okay? And what that did for me is it basically gave me this screen for the front end, or this, sorry, this slide for the front end, this side for the back end, all right? So now again, I'm going to basically select the first part, go into screen recording, do a little editing, all right? And then again, you can do it with more precision, I'm sure, than I'm doing right now. So for the first part, trim, right? Everything disappears after that.
Hey,
Save and
Mark,
close.
what did you press?
Yeah.
Control D?
Oh, to duplicate a slide. Yes. So let me do that a different way. I'm going to save and return this one. I use a keyboard a lot, I have to say. So what I did down here was I pressed Control D, but what I could do is I could right click and select duplicate slide.
Mm-hmm. Awesome,
Right?
thank you.
Sure. Or delete slide in this case. Okay, so nicely enough, now when I go into this second slide that I duplicated, screen recording, once again. And I'm going to go into edit, and this is where the second half of my video is going to be, all right? So you notice down here, I can go up to about 55 seconds when I finished my little routine, or let's say a minute 5, and I can come back in here now, and I can say, okay, trim this, okay? And now I have just a little segment that finishes everything off, all right? Save and close, save and return. And now I have two slides that are together, all right? With the little snippet taken out in the middle. And you can do this as many times as you want, all right? So what I want to do at some point is I want to make sure that all of these slides run continuously. This is actually a pretty popular thing to do within micro learning lessons. I could build in buttons that basically say continue, okay? But I'm choosing not to do that in this case, and I want to basically make sure that all these things run simultaneously. And I just broke a rule there by clicking on a button before I announced I was going to click on a button. But I can go into iSpring's Presentation Explorer, and it has a lovely interface for selecting all your slides and just selecting auto. And that'll make sure that everyone goes, and every slide auto advances itself. That means basically when I split up these two slides of the recording, it's just going to continue, nice and smooth, right? So save and close that. Now, what about highlighting? So let's say that it's real important because I've got a big screen here and I want to try to do some highlighting on this image, okay? Well, iSpring will work with any sort of image that you want to overlay on top, okay? So if you want to do something nice and simple, like an oval, and draw the oval, no problem. And you can bring that thing in just as you would otherwise. There's one trick to bringing it in at certain points in time. So what I also could do is I could pull in arrows. I could pull in basically anything that I want here. You know, as I'm going through, if I want to try to have a certain kind of object, you know, point this one around. The trick with making these highlights work is to basically make sure that you animate them with a delay. Okay, so you're gonna have to read your video, and let's say I want this one to come in after 10 seconds. Okay, or maybe I'll have it even come in after 5 seconds. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'll put in some sort of method for having it come in. Oh, let's do something great like a swivel. And then I'm going to have this one come in. I'll fly that one in from the bottom right. No, bottom right. There it is. Okay. Now, I'm going to go over to my animation pane over here on the side. And instead of, notice I've got a bunch of different animations here. I'm going to come back to this again, but one of the things that you should realize is that this screen recording actually does come in as an animation. Okay, so I'll take you there to show you exactly how to control a little bit more with your screen recording as well. Okay, so here's my oval. Now, the big trick is, first of all, I don't want it to come in. You have to do either after previous or with previous, and then your delay, okay? And so my delay now, let's say it's gonna be 5 seconds. And then my arrow, I'm gonna do a delay of 10 seconds. Now, the nice to have for these things is after one of them comes in, you want that one to go away and the other one to come in. So it's just PowerPoint, right? And if you've worked with animations in PowerPoint, you probably have done this before where you want the animation to come in and then you want it to go away. So all I have to do is add an animation, all right, for that object. And I'm gonna make it an exit and we'll just do a fade to let it go away. And once again, I have to, you know, put the timer in here. When is it gonna fade out? So it's gonna fade out, let's say in 8 seconds. We had it coming in 5, right? So I'm gonna select that. Select after previous. After previous and before previous, I believe does about the same thing. And I'll shuffle it up. Actually, I'll do with previous. Yeah, some of this takes a little experimentation. Okay, so how am I going to figure out how this is looking? That's correct. Come back over here to iSpring 8. Go into preview. In this case, I'll just preview one slide. And who thinks this is actually going to work? Oh. Well, I'm fairly optimistic it's actually going to work. I've done this a lot before. And there's a lot more that you can do with highlighting, by the way. You can do shadow knockouts and things like that. Sometimes those are effective. A little 3, 2, 1 going, and then you're basically in record mode. Okay? Now I'm getting. Hey, there's my animation. Oh, it came and it went so fast. Yes. I obviously timed it out incorrectly. Where I right-click, I'll see, I'll select new appointment.
But you just need to fix it a little bit, and then it will be perfect.
Exactly. So all I would have to do is take a look at this one, go back to my animations,
Yeah, bad timing, Mark.
Oh,
You need more delay.
I do. I need 10 to, now how did that happen? That's kind of funny, isn't it? Okay, I had 8 originally. I changed it back to 5, I think, when I changed it to with previous. Okay, so you're gonna have to trust me on that one. I don't want to necessarily ruin your whole uh, webinar time fine-tuning this, but basically that's how you're gonna do a highlight. Now, real quickly, a couple more things. I want to show you. I mentioned before that your MP4, whether you do insert video through standard PowerPoint, okay, you have insert video, and you can do online video, video on my PC. No matter if you do it that way or you do a screen recording with iSpring, you're still going to wind up with this, with first of all, it behaving like an animation. And then also you're going to get this playback ribbon over here. And the playback ribbon basically will give you a bunch of different options. Okay. So among other things, let me get rid of this animation pane over here. You want to make sure this thing is going to start automatically. Okay. If you do insert video, for some reason, PowerPoint decided, okay, the default behavior should be click to start the video, okay? There are occasions where you want that to be the default behavior. I would submit that most of the time you really don't, but just keep in mind you would have to come into this playback ribbon, come in here and select automatically, okay, to make sure that it starts automatically. iSpring has taken care of that for you, so they've changed the default behavior. When you do screen recordings, they will play automatically. But of course, you get the option of changing it back to on click to play it. Okay. The other thing that's important here, and I'll let you explore a little bit more of this playback ribbon on your own, but the volume. So the volume is going to come in at either low, medium, or high by default, and I believe it's high by default. But if you're inserting in your volume separately, you want to change this to mute. Okay. And we'll talk about, again, the need for creating this audio separate. So that's the ribbon. And notice that, you know, based on this, you're going to change the behavior of the animation itself off to the side. So if I go into the animation page over here, you'll see basically a difference in the type of animation that the video is. Okay, it's a trigger animation based on whether you have it starting on click or not. Okay, so let's pull out the audio. Okay, so because this is actually, I think, going to be handy for you to recognize and to maybe work with down the road. So just a couple of notes. Pulling out the audio, if needed. Again, if you need to clean up the audio, you may want to take advantage of some of iSpring's features to clean up audio. So regardless of whether you use iSpring features or other features, if you want to pull out audio, I've just, again, been using Movie Maker to do this, and I'll show you just because it's so very simple. So first of all, Movie Maker does a lot of different things. By and large, I ignore all this. I'm not a real video editing person, so I'm sure I could show you a lot more in this window. But to get the audio out of an MP4, again, I violated that rule of clicking before I told you about the button. You click on Add Videos and Photos, and within here, just find your video. So in this case, down here, where's my video? This is going to be the real deal. And so now I've got my MP4 all loaded up, and of course, a lot of these icons now have come to life. So I can start to mess around with a lot of different things, but all I want to do is File, Save Movie, and come here to the bottom, Audio Only. It's that easy, okay? again, you're going to wind up with, let me come into my audio video folder. You're going to wind up with only a couple of choices here, at least through Movie Maker, WMA or M4A, which is more of the Mac audio format. So click on WMA, click on Save, and there you go. So close out Movie Maker. Let me come back in here, and now let's say again, I want to take basically a little snip of that audio. I can go in here to iSpring and look at the Manage Narration area. Okay, for those of you that worked with iSpring or any other PowerPoint-based e-learning tool, this is a pretty standard sort of routine to go through. And you can see the audio down here on the bottom. I already had audio in here for some reason. This is just me playing around, I think, before the session. And what I can do is I can put in either audio or video here. So I'm going to put in my audio. And here I've got my little audio clips. Let's see. I'm going to go back over here. Audio, video. And here's my, basically my WMA files. This is the one I think that I've got now because I just didn't bother to rename it. When you insert audio for iSpring, nicely enough, it basically has a nice little checkbox on the bottom here that just says, okay, you want this to go across different slides? And it gives you a little picture up here that it's going to do exactly that. Or you want us to just adjust this slide and then insert it all right here. So I'll go ahead and insert it right here. Notice here down at the bottom, my title slide is now really, really, really long. All right. But I'm going to change that because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on edit clip up here. That was kind of a tongue twister. And now if again, the introduction just says, welcome to my lesson, I can select this, I can delete it. I can also remove noise if I want basically to remove that ambient noise at the beginning or throughout the whole audio clip. Click on Save and Close. I can close this thing up to make it a little shorter. And again, what I've got now is I've got the audio for my title slide. And again, I've just started with the MP4. So 10 minutes before, and I'm going to allow a couple of minutes for questions. I'm going to recap this. Oops. Let me go back over to this one. And I have a window open. Oh, it's that one. My bad. Save and close. I knew there was an additional step I had to take. Okay. So let me recap. Again, the simplicity of this. Title slide, end slide, and then something in the middle that's, again, having video in general, or having a screen recording with movement, those sort of things are the things that we're becoming accustomed to. A lot of people are learning from YouTube, which also employs a lot of this micro learning. Every YouTube that's out there is real short, sweet, so on and so forth. Khan Academy, same idea. TED Talks, same idea. Keep it short, keep on message. So basically this micro learning itself for this demo did a screen recording with iSpring Screen Recorder.
Awesome.
Questions?
Yes, lots of them actually. So I hope we can cover at least some of them. So first of all, a question from Darren. Do we have to keep an audio file to less than 60 seconds per slide?
Oh, a great point. So the answer is maybe. So Darren, you may have discovered that the delay within PowerPoint for an animation, like if I brought in a little highlight, if I try to do this delay under animations, oh, I gotta make it float in or something first before I can actually do a delay. If I try to make this thing 65 seconds, notice it goes back to 59 seconds. So yes. So if you're using highlights in here, you would have to split up the video like I did with the Control D, or again, duplicate the slide and have it run continuous. If you're going longer than a minute and you want to have this delay feature. So I'm glad you brought that one up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And the next question from Grady. So when you output, do you always output to HTML5 or do you also output to MP4?
Yes. Honestly, more and more MP4, but HTML5 does the same thing. The only trick there is, I can double click on an MP4, no problem. The HTML5, is in a folder that's, I don't know, it's a lesson.html5 file that has to have the folders in the right places. So that's more intended if you're going to put it on a server somewhere. So if I want to just send it to friends, I'd probably go MP4.
Okay, thank you. And the next question from Elizabeth. Is it possible to remove screen recording text from the screen recording slide?
That's a great question. I'm going to say you need to hire a professional for that. Yeah, because I think the only way you could probably do it is to mask it with some object on top of it. Removing it is really tricky. If you drew a box and had some sort of shape fill, white obviously, or something like that, I think that's the only way to accomplish that. You may be able to do it with Final Cut or some, maybe even Movie Maker. I don't know Movie Maker even that well, but Final Cut is a great editing tool for video.
You can also, I think you can also enlarge the window or the screenshot of the recording to cover that screen recording. Can you do it?
Yeah, we can record screenshots just by, if you run this.
No, I mean that one that you have on the slide right now. If you click on it.
Yep.
Oh, it selects the whole slide. Okay.
It selects the whole thing, right. And then I can make this smaller. And by the way, if you want your recording to actually, be on the right-hand side and have some text on the left, you still got all the functionality of PowerPoint. So you could have basically a series of recordings with a little contents bar here on the left.
Yeah, but we have a very nice comment from David that screen record text won't show up after publishing, so.
Oh, this screen recording text?
Yes.
Oh, right. Sorry, I think I misunderstood the question.
Shouldn't bother that much.
Yeah, this definitely does not show up when you run the lesson. Yes. Correct.
Okay, and the next question from Teresa. So at this point, the video is being treated like a PowerPoint slide. You are adding the animation to the PowerPoint, right?
Yes, that's correct. So the animation itself, I was just showing you using this one as like a highlight that would come in at a certain point in time on top of the video. If I can call this a video as opposed to a screen recording, you're running the video either automatically or by requiring your learner to click, right? But regardless of when the video starts, you're going to have the option of putting on little highlights to support okay, look over here on the top right of the screen, or look over here on the left, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. And another question from Howard. Can you export the frames of a video after capturing, add these types of callouts, and then publish it back out as a video?
Wow. Not that I know of, but again, that's more of a professional video person would probably say, oh, sure, easy. I'm not going to say whether it's easy or not easy, because I really don't know of a way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mark. And another question from Ron. If you let SMRs generate content, what screen capture app do they use or have, or do you recommend?
For a screen capture tool?
I guess so.
Sure. So I'm a little old-fashioned. I use print screen and alt print screen, and I do a lot of editing in MS Paint. But I'll say this: Snagit from TechSmith is just the greatest tool on the face of the earth. It really is a great, great screen capture tool. But by and large, for most of my screen captures, because I do a lot of editing afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
I use MS Paint, and I find MS Paint does just about everything that you want to. And I'm a little disappointed with Snagit's new version. Version 13 is actually much more difficult to use than I thought it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that answers some. I know that was kind of wishy-washy answer, but that's what I use.
Thank you. Another question from Kenti. How do you trim? What keys?
Oh, how do I trim?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm trimming, I'm just selecting and then clicking and dragging my mouse. So if I come in here to the screen recording area, hopefully I remember if I'm interpreting this question correctly. It's not really any keys. It's just clicking and dragging an area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually very, very easy. I'm just clicking, dragging through here, clicking, dragging again, after I've done my initial click and drag. And then when I click on the trim button, it's going to take out anything that's not inside this area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Okay.
the trim trick, I guess.
Thank you. All right, so the next question from Anne. When editing, can I separate screen from audio? For example, if I delete something, will it delete both the screen capture and the audio? Or if separate, I can save the screen capture and just delete a portion of the audio.
Yeah, far as I know, first of all, if I click on trim or delete right now, it's going to take out both, right? I'll click on delete. Both are gone. I think if you want to take out audio separate or leave audio in separately, you'd have to separate the video from the audio and just make sure that your screen recording runs with the audio set to mute, right? So
Mm-hmm.
before we went into the playback area for this screen recording and the volume button here, again, if you're going to separate out the audio from the video,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that because otherwise you'd have two sets of videos playing or two sets of audio playing
Mm-hmm.
at the same time.
Mm-hmm. All right.
We are running a little bit over, and I can stick around as long as you want to answer questions.
Yeah, let's cover whatever we have left.
Okay.
All
Fine with me.
right. Yeah, if you guys need to go, we will send the recording of this webinar, but we still want to cover this questions so that if you have to go, we will still get them answered. If that's okay with you, Mark.
Sure.
All right.
Great.
Okay, so let's move on. All right. So a question from Pollux. Does iSpring allow adjusting video resolution and bit rate of audio?
It won't adjust the resolution. Let's see. However, because the resolution initially is going to be the resolution of your screen where you're doing your screen capture, right? So your Windows settings, most of the time you're running in Windows, I guess. Yeah, your Windows display settings, has the resolution. But if you go into publish, I'm trying to think this one. So when you're going in and going into customization, I'm going to go down a path here. I'm not sure exactly which way this is going to turn. There's an option in here to do some adjustments. No, sorry. Compression, I think, was what I was looking for. Sorry. So I went down the wrong path. Very sorry for that. And what I was doing was I went into customize. So it is not under customize. It is under one of these tabs called compression. Okay. Now under compression, in terms of the quality of the video, okay, and this is the overall video that's going to get published with the lesson. You have the ability to come in here and make some adjustments there. So if you really need the highest quality video, let's say you're doing some science lessons and you've got some real high resolution videos that need the best possible quality, you want to take this slider and move maybe the audio up as well. And just keep in mind, it'll make the MP4 a little bigger or your overall package bigger for that.
Okay, and the next question from the same person. Can I zoom in video at certain point if I want to show more details on my screen?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think the answer is no. And again, it'll sound like I'm plugging TechSmith here, but Camtasia, I believe, does that trick. So, yeah, I don't know of a zoom capability at this point within the iSpring screen recorder, at least. But I'll also say that iSpring has, many more icons than Camtasia does. Camtasia is just a little bit limited. It does a terrific job of screen recording and has a lot of real cool features. But again, if you're doing an e-learning lesson, and certainly if you want to build an assessment and do a variety of different instructional design oriented things, there's certainly many more options here with iSpring.
Yes, and you can still use Camtasia for screen recording, for example, but then insert that ready video into your course and adjust it however you want within iSpring managed narration and stuff like that.
I love that. Absolutely.
And then convert it. I mean, like, there is no restriction to having a toolbox, so you can use whatever tools you're used to and then combine them and get the best out of that process.
Absolutely. In fact, Joe Ganchi refers to that oftentimes. It's just, he has a tool equipped, right? That he basically uses a lot of different tools depending on what he needs. And, maybe if zooming is a real important thing, then, you want to get a different kind of tool to do the screen recordings. But then again, a different kind of tool as well to do the final publishing and storing of the lessons.
Exactly. Okay, so we have a couple more questions and then we will be ready to go, I promise. So a question from Daniel. In some cases, different audio files will come out with varying volume. Is there something that will make the file sound the same, or is that just an issue with recording at different times?
No, right. There's definitely that capability, change the volume level, but there's no sophisticated way to go across an entire audio file and just say, okay, reconcile all the audio. But if I take a look in here at the audio editor here for iSpring, when I select, any given audio, like let's say that this is like way too loud, there was a big noise in the background, I can come in here, adjust audio. This is actually a pretty cool thing. Watch what happens when I adjust the audio. It actually literally like shrinks or allows me to basically say, yeah, here, there. One thing with Audacity, I like Audacity, it's a great audio tool, but it doesn't allow this. It basically has you, it's the amplify feature, and it doesn't allow you to basically take a look at what the result's going to be. It has you input in a 6 or a 5 or some sort of value, and then you get it back, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, well, that's not what I want, and you have to do it over again. So the audio volume control of iSpring is actually very good.
Thank you very much for covering it.
Sure.
Okay, great. All right, so I think that at this point we really need to wrap up, and I would like to thank you, Mark, for covering the way of creating micro learning within iSpring. I think that there were very nice tips and tricks covered during that session, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the session as well. I would like to thank all of you for coming.
All right, yeah, and I would like to say thanks as well. You down the road at some point.
Yes.
Thanks, Paulina, for all your help.
No problem. And I would like to mention that next week we are starting our webinar series that will cover how to create great content from A to Z, starting from instructional design and ending with publishing your content, analyzing it, how it works, whether it's being retained by your students, and how to upgrade it and update it and advance it and make it more interactive. This will be the series of 10 webinars, and I will be sending the link where you will be able to sign up for all of them. So I hope to see you guys at our next webinars next week.
Great.
All right, so I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thanks again, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Paulina, for everything.
All right, thank you guys for joining. Bye bye,
Okay,
everyone.
bye.